Hello, friends. Welcome back once again to the Janaea Talks Caps podcast. And today we are going to recap what was a circus of a Game 6 in Carolina, with the leading act being the clown show that is NHL officiating, as well as taking a look ahead to the Caps' second Game 7 in as many seasons. And then lastly, we'll take a quick look at the other two Game 7s that were played last night, one in our very own Eastern Conference between the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs, and one in the Western Conference between the San Jose Sharks and that medieval times sideshow masquerading as a hockey franchise. So the Caps, game number 6, they came out in the first period like they really meant business. They hammered the Canes on the forecheck with a number of huge clean hits. They hemmed the Canes in their defensive zone on their home ice. They created scoring chance after scoring chance after scoring chance and buried two of them. The first, a how do you do snipe show from Brett Connolly walking out from behind the net, and the second, a quick up and rush from the ever-dangerous Backstrom-Ovechkin combo, with Ovi taking a pass cleanly off of his skate, kicking it right up to his stick, walking in on what was actually a 3-on-4 for the Caps, but we all know Alex Ovechkin knows a thing or two about making something out of nothing, and so Ovi waits for Jacob Slavin to slide down to block the pass that he thinks is coming, and then he dangles around Slavin and rips the shot past Mrazek for his fourth goal of the series so far. So first of all, let's point out how important it is that our third line, and especially Brett Connolly, has really gotten going in these last two games. Connolly, who had 22 goals during the regular season, he scored for the second time in as many games. He went roof daddy in game number 5 for the Caps as well. And now second of all, let's talk about the captain. What a player, what a leader, what a guy. The dude is my fucking spirit animal. Ovi had quite the night, but we'll talk about that more later. Right now, I just want to point out again how dominant he's been. Not only does he score a huge goal once again, but he was once again a physical force all night long, with 5 hits recorded for the game, and that doesn't even count the one that Dougie Hamilton dodged. As Hamilton, no doubt, was seeing his life flash before his eyes before he jumped out of the way of the 8 train on that one. And that chicken out by Hamilton, his second chicken out of an Ovechkin slam in as many games, led to what was probably one of the most hilarious, epic, and viral moments of the night and of the playoffs so far. As after Hamilton dodged him, Ovechkin skated by the Hurricanes bench afterwards and flapped his arms like a chicken at a Hamilton, ruthlessly mocking Dougie's lack of any sort of courage or guts. Hamilton has been completely destroyed by Ovechkin in this series. The chicken flap gesture was well deserved, as Hamilton's not only physically being beat up by Ovechkin in this series, the times when he doesn't dodge the hits, but he's being lit up on the scoreboard as well. And so it seemed like at long last in the second period of game number 6, Rod Brind'Amour finally decided to admit that he was losing that matchup and losing it horribly, and he swapped out Hamilton for Brett Pesce on the remainder of Ovechkin's shifts. So that's a luxury that Rod Brind'Amour has when playing on home ice, as you get the last change, but he will not have that luxury in Game 7 in Washington. And so just like we've seen in all of the other home games for the Caps in this series, where Todd Reirden has the last change, I do expect Dougie Hamilton, or Chicken Boy, as we shall now call him, to be seeing a lot of Alex Ovechkin in game number 7. God bless him. So the go-ahead Ovechkin goal was about where the good stuff ended for the Caps, as they came out like hot dog shit in period number 2. The situation wasn't helped by a horrible turnover in the defensive zone for the Caps, but before I go ahead and single that guy out, I want to talk about something here. Because you see, the analysts who, believe it or not, get paid to analyze these games for NBC, they keep pointing out every 2 minutes how the Hurricanes are missing a couple of players due to injuries. And yes, they are missing a couple of players. They were missing Andrei Svechnikov and Michael Ferland for this game. But here's the thing. The Caps are missing a couple of players due to injuries as well. And there are key pieces that are missing for the Caps, just as they are key pieces that are missing for the for the Hurricanes. It doesn't really matter that neither Svechnikov nor Ferland are fit to even hold TJ Oshie's jockstrap, because it's all relative to the teams that they play for. Oshie is obviously a better player than Svechnikov and Ferland, but Oshie would still probably be considered a secondary scorer for a Caps team with names like Alex Ovechkin, Nicklas Backstrom, and Evgeny Kuznetsov, while Svechnikov and Ferland are two of the best players on the Hurricanes. But again, that's not my point. My point is that if you're going to, on television where everyone can hear you, use injuries as an excuse or a cop-out for one team, then you have to use it as the same for the other team too. TJ Oshie had 25 goals and 54 points in just 69 games this season. Andrei Svechnikov had 20 goals and 37 points in 82 games. Yet you talk about the latter as if the Hurricanes are missing Jesus Christ out of their lineup, and you don't even mention the former. Oshie had 21 points in 24 playoff games for the Caps last season on their run to winning the Stanley Cup. He is a huge loss, yet it doesn't even get talked about or even mentioned. And I would remind everyone as well that the Caps are also missing a top-pairing defenseman from this series and from these playoffs. Again, you may not know that because the analysts on TV don't even talk about it, but he got injured right before the playoffs started and hasn't even been mentioned. But it's highly relevant because the fact that the Caps are missing Michael Kempny from their lineup is what led directly to the Hurricanes tying goal in this game. Yes, rookie D-man Jonas Siegenthaler, who I'm told is good, but I just don't see it. The only thing I find him to be useful for is that it's allowing John Carlson to go back to playing the right side of the ice. But anyways, Siegenthaler inserted into the lineup to try and replace Michael Kempny. He has a massively bad turnover behind the Caps net. The Canes steal the puck and score right away, tying the game at 2 goals apiece. Now, the broadcasters were kind of arguing that Siegenthaler was slashed on the play, and that's why he wasn't able to make a good play with the puck. And you know what? I think they're right. He was slashed, and as they pointed out, there had already been weaker calls made against the Caps in the game, so it would have been easy to call it a penalty, but the refs did not. But at the same time, my God, you have to be stronger on that puck with a 1-goal lead. I mean, honestly, this had me screaming at my TV. Just ask my mom, who had to endure all of the cursing that ensued after this weak-ass play, as that's what you get when the Stanley Cup playoffs are on during Easter weekend. That goal was needless, and it changed the momentum of the game, as it was basically a gift of a game-time goal for the Canes. So I say again, you have to be stronger on that puck, man. Now, moving right along, the Canes would go up 3-2, and then the real shitstorm starts right around the 10-minute mark of the third period, with the Caps pushing to tie the game. So for those who didn't see the game and or didn't see Ovechkin's disallowed would-be second goal of the game for him, I'll just come right out and say it right off the hop. It was a goal. There's no way to get around the fact that this was a massively blown call by the referees. So instead of wondering whether it was or it wasn't, we can just spend all of our time looking at what the fuck happened and blasting the shit out of the refs for it instead, because that is what they deserve, and I would say, you know, they deserve it in this case, and I would even say in most cases. So Evgeny Kuznetsov was out there doing Evgeny Kuznetsov circa 2018 playoffs things for a change, and to the pleasant surprise of myself and of everyone else. And he takes the puck as if he's going to go around Mrazek's net, but then he reaches back with it to tuck it inside the post instead, once he's got Mrazek leaning the wrong way. Now, we've seen this play work for him many times before, and he definitely fooled Mrazek here, as Mrazek was lucky to make that initial save. He had basically no idea where the puck was, and he still had no idea where the puck was when it was laying there loose in between his pads, which were open enough that I could see the puck laying there all the way from my couch up here in Canada. So there you have it. I don't know how the refs didn't see it. So Ovechkin comes in, crashing the net like a good boy, hunting the rebound, and he gets the rebound and pokes the puck with his stick the rest of the way through Mrazek's legs. So nothing wrong with that. Good goal, right? Tie game, right? Not so fast, says one of Gary Bettman's henchmen. The referee never blew the whistle, and in fact, he never even brought his whistle anywhere near his lips to even signal that he was intending to blow it, and he did not immediately signal it a goal or a non-goal. That is not until the Hurricanes players started shouting at him and probably hurting his feelings a little bit, at which point he signaled it a non-goal. The referee honestly didn't even seem to know why he was making the call. So they went over to talk about it at the penalty box, and after a coach's challenge by Todd Reardon and a review that took all of about 0.12 seconds, because referees are so utterly thorough when they're deciding games like this, they upheld the call on the ice. They did not give an explanation and did not appear to give any explanation to Caps head coach Todd Reardon either. Reardon obviously was fuming, and he confirmed after the game that no, the officials did not give him any sort of an explanation for the call. The broadcast crew was guessing as to whether it was maybe the referee saying he meant to blow the whistle, because, that's not a problem at all, giving referees the total control and free reign to make whatever call they want without having any sort of accountability for it. Hey, Stripes, why did you make that call? Oh, because I felt like it. None of your business. Fuck you. That's basically what it's coming to. Or the broadcast was also suggesting that maybe the referee thought it was goaltender interference, which it wasn't. In any case, no explanation was given by the official to the head coach of the team, of which he just fucked over. Excellent stuff. Stick taps to the NHL. To me, I've played hockey since I was 4 years old and been a goalie myself for most of that time, and I can't even tell you how many goals have gone in on me, just like the one that Ovechkin had disallowed in this game, and they always count. It's always a goal. If you're not aggressively pushing the goalie into the net with the puck, and more importantly in this case, if your pushing of the goalie is not what causes the puck to go in the net, then it's a good goal. Ovechkin, even if he did bump Mrazek's pad a little bit, it's not what caused the puck to go in the net. Ovechkin clearly pokes the loose puck through Mrazek's opened pads using his stick. It's a goal. Honestly, I wouldn't even think to complain about it if I'm the goalie there, because it happens all the time. And like I said, it's always a goal. Anyways, that was crap. And to me, it's bad enough to blow the call, but to offer up no explanation afterwards as to why you blew the call, that's almost even worse, because like I said, if referees don't have to explain their reasoning when they make a call, then that just gives them free reign to do whatever the fuck they want with no accountability whatsoever. And a world in which guys like Tim Peel and Mark Jonette are running around without a leash is not a world in which I wish to live. Good Lord. Imagine the carnage. I'd talk about how the supposed, so-called embellishment, that call on Dmitry Orlov, I would talk about how that was absolute bullshit as well. But honestly, everyone knows that NHL referees are trash. I don't really... not just for the Caps and not just because it was not embellishment by Orlov. You get held like that, you're going to fall down. But that's beside the point. I don't understand this call in general. If you're going to call a penalty, it's either a penalty or it's embellishment. If it's a penalty, then it's not embellishment. If it's embellishment, then it's not a penalty. You can't, it's a cop-out to call it both ways. But anyways, like I said, everyone knows that NHL referees are trash, so let's not spend any more time on it than we have to. Just got to call them out sometimes when shit is really getting out of control. So the Caps lose, and Alex Ovechkin gets tossed out of the game by those same referees at the end, after he gave them what was a very sarcastic round of applause, presumably for what was truly a special night on the whistles. I love Ovi so much. He was completely unhinged at the end of the game there, and it was awesome. That's what I love to see. An angry Ovechkin always scores multiple goals the next game, so this is a good thing for the Washington Capitals. So the Caps, they head to Game 7, and while that would have been a cause for major concern and anxiety in years past, it's not so much this year. The Caps rewrote a lot of their own history last season when they won the Stanley Cup, including winning a huge Game 7 against the Eastern Conference leading Tampa Bay Lightning on the way there. So they have a lot to feel good about heading into this one. Including the fact, by the way, that they are 3-0 so far on home ice in these playoffs, and they've just overall played much better at home in these playoffs than they have on the road. Polar opposites, really, their game at home versus their game on the road, at least currently. On home ice, the Caps currently have the best goal differential, the best shooting percentage, and the best power play efficiency in the playoffs of all of the 16 teams that qualified for the postseason. So again, best goal differential, best shooting percentage, and best power play efficiency. They've been utterly dominant. There's a reason why the Caps have been able to light up the Hurricanes at Capital One Arena as well, and that reason is called they get the last change, and so Todd Reirden can choose whichever players on the Hurricanes he so pleases to have victimized by Alex Ovechkin and Nicklas Backstrom, who have by far been the two best players in this series so far for either team, and it's not even close. The Caps have scored 14 goals through 3 home games in this series, and they have scored just 3 goals through 3 road games in the same series. So that's a big difference. 14 goals scored through 3 games at home, and just 3 goals scored through 3 games on the road. It's the last change, people. Ovechkin and Backstrom versus Chicken Boy Dougie Hamilton. This is one of those times where home ice actually matters. So now, that's all I've got for the Caps for now. We'll take a quick look around the rest of the league, as there were 2 other Game 7s being played on Tuesday night. And if you missed either of these, then you may want to go to YouTube or something and catch up on what you missed, because you missed a lot, especially in the Sharks Golden Knights game. But I'll get to that in a minute. Let's start with the Eastern Conference. So the Boston Bruins versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Maple Laughs have lost the last 2 Game 7s they've played at the TD Garden in Boston, with both of those losses coming in the last 6 years. In 2013, they were up 4-1 on the Bruins in Boston with less than 15 minutes remaining in the game, before blowing the 3-goal lead and losing 5-4 in overtime. Then just last year, you'll remember that again, the Leafs had a lead on the Bruins in Boston, heading into the 3rd period of Game 7. They blew that one as well, with the Bruins scoring 4 unanswered goals and winning it by a final score of 7-4. Hilarious. Would the 3rd time in 6 years be the charm for Toronto? No. Bruins won again by a score of 5-1 this time. Our old friend Marcus Johansson scored the 2nd goal for the Bees on a pretty walkout from behind the net, similar to what Brett Connolly did for the Caps the other night. So the Leafs and John Tavares lose in the 1st round again. For Tavares, it's a change of scenery, but the same old story. The Islanders are onto the 2nd round in their 1st season without him. By the way, they swept the Pittsburgh Penguins in rather convincing fashion. So who can't win the big games now, JT? Anyways, I'm confused by the Leafs being eliminated, because I had about 300,000 Leafs fans swearing up and down at me on Twitter that they were winning the Stanley Cup this season right after they made the move to sign Tavares. So something doesn't compute here. But all kidding aside, I said it before the season started. I said it again after the trade deadline, and it is certainly still true now. That Leafs defense is just horrible. I mean, Jake Gardiner, my God. Nikita Zaitsev, just put a traffic cone out there instead. It'll do more to keep the puck out of your net, and it won't turn it over either. They are so bad. So anyways, the Bruins moving on. Leafs are out. And the other Game 7 between San Jose and Vegas, this was a doozy. If you missed it, Vegas, they jump out to a 3-0 lead, and they held that 3-0 lead all the way until late into the 3rd period. There was about 10 minutes left in the game, so not enough time for a comeback, right? Wrong. Oh, so wrong. Former Capital Cody Eakin, you'll remember him as having the most gingery hair that ever did ginger, gets a 5-minute major and a game misconduct for cross-checking San Jose Sharks captain Joe Pavelski. It was a very scary scene, actually, as Pavelski went down hard to the ice, and then his head was bleeding all over the ice. The medics had to come out and get him. It wasn't good. Obviously, he did not return, but the Sharks head to the power play with a vengeance. Now, being that it's a 5-minute major, they can obviously score as many times as they want before it expires. And I'm thinking that they want to score at least 2 goals on this, right? Oh, how low I have set the bar for them. Because 6 seconds into the power play, Logan Couture scores. That's 1. Less than a minute later, Thomas Hertl scores again. That's 2. It is now a 1-goal game. So we fast forward a couple more minutes and Logan Couture scores again. Tie ball game. And then, because why stop at 3 power play goals when you can score 4? Just before the 5-minute major expires, Kevin Labanc scores to make it 4-3 for the San Jose Sharks. What a comeback. The Shark Tank was going crazy. It was fucking wild. The Knights annoy me, so this made me very, very happy. The Knights would score to tie it up again with less than a minute left in the game, but who cares? Sharks win it in overtime on Barclay Goodrow's goal, and all is right with the world. The Vegas Golden Knights have been eliminated. And that's our wrap up for today, folks. Now, everybody, make sure you're doing all of the proper preparation for Game 7. Hydrate with your luckiest beers, fuel your body with your luckiest snacks, etc. Everybody remember which section of the couch they were sitting on during last year's Game 7 win over Tampa Bay. Wear the same underwear you wore last year. All of it. No fucking around. Let's do this, boys and girls and babes, and I will see you back here to recap a big Caps win in a day or so. And as always, let's go Caps!